everyone. This is Cindy.
And this is Jose, and we're very excited for another episode of LifeCraft.
Indeed, Jose, and our episode today is entitled No Labels. Are you intrigued?
I totally am. And I'm excited, as I said. And we have a very special guest for today's episode. Our guest is Coach Franco Rulloda. He is a very multi talented individual who is not afraid to pursue multiple passions. And that's why this title is No Label, because there are no labels to Coach Franco. So he is
Yeah.
a Ribeiro International Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt. I think one of the first in the Philippines, no? One of the pioneers in the field. He's an international mixed martial arts federation MMA coach. He's also a fitness coach, a content creator, a food and travel writer, and a self defense and human rights advocate. On top of that, he's also a marketing executive that helps companies and brands with their marketing and social media presence. He also has his own podcast, which he started back in February 2018, which is called Coach Franco Says. And we're so honored today because we can actually talk to Coach Franco and listen to what he's going to say. So, welcome, Coach Franco.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for having me here on LifeCraft. Kami ni Jose, we've been we I had the honor of having him on my podcast. So,
Right.
I mean, this has been a long time coming. So happy to be here.
Yes, we're so glad you joined us today, Coach Franco.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really something that we consider ourselves lucky today because aside from the fact that we're going to talk about, having a no labels, lifestyle or how you craft your life, we really are so impressed with your passion, in
Mm-hmm.
living. And so we want to start by asking you, with the about these passions, specifically as an MMA coach and a BJJ black belt. How did you get into these, and what made you fall in love with the sport and say, yes, this is something for me?
Uh, I've always been a martial arts nut since I was a kid. Like everyone grew up fanboying over Bruce Lee, di ba?
Yeah.
Jean-Claude Van Damme,
Yeah.
di ba?
Yeah.
Chuck Norris, di ba? Even before he became a meme, di ba? Chuck Norris
Right.
was the guy, di ba?
Yeah.
One of the guys. Then of course there's Bruce Lee. I was a very active kid, and I was fortunate enough to have grown in a very athletic family. And then we're very active. My parents really encouraged us to move around, and I mean I'm just thankful then na I grew up in an era wherein there wasn't so many gadgets. So people were encouraged to go out and play and interact with each other. So I also dabbled into different sports. So that's probably one of the reasons why I grew up a very curious guy. And
Yeah.
the path to martial arts s- came from curiosity, and then ano in as much as I wanted to choose martial arts probably chose me. Kasi I never expected to be at a level of proficiency wherein I would be able to express everything that I'm doing in a manner or in a level wherein I could also share it to other people. And
Mhm.
then I was able to compete with the best. I learned from the best, and of course, the competitive nature in me just pushed me to like, okay, let me test this out, diba? So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are wanted to do the things that we're doing, or at least what I'm doing. They're just really afraid. I just jumped in. A lot of times, a lot of it was that out of curious stupidity. But I was like, okay, let me try this out. And it turns out I was good at it. So, yun. I when I'm asked that question lagi, it always brings back so much memories, and it kind of parang right now nag-iisip ako bigla ng timeline, like what
Mhm.
did happen, 'di ba? Pero during those days I wasn't really thinking. I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening around me. I was just doing. I think that's one of the main reasons why I was able to do a lot of things, because I didn't really think about it. I just went in and did it. Yun.
Yeah,
Mm.
wow. Love that. I mean, it's like you just you were attracted to this to martial arts innately. It was in your family, and then you just, if you find
Mm.
something that you like, you just go for it and try it out,
Yeah.
and you're not afraid to try new things out. So that's where I guess it started, and seeing
Hmm.
how it shows you. I love hearing that story. I mean, it's like a classic. Not did Was it love at first sight?
Yeah.
And it feels
Parang ano
like it.
siya, so it was
Right.
it was love at first sight, and then the love grew and grew. Yun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yun
nice.
nangyari sa kanya.
Yeah. Do you recall like the a specific moment when you said, this is really, this is for me. This is it.
Oh man.
Or
That
probably
would
moment.
that would probably be, it's not just, it's for me, it's not really a specific moment but a specific feeling. Yun,
Okay.
I really knew that it was for me, and I was for it. Uh when you go home tired, you're exhausted, and your body is aching, and you are willing to do it again the following day. And then
Wow.
there would be
Yeah.
times
Yeah.
na you would start questioning yourself, why am I doing this? But you still do it.
Right.
Diba?
Mm.
Those are the
Yeah.
moments wherein those are the moments wherein there's no rational explanation, but because you're very passionate about it, that's the only reason. You only need one reason. Diba? I'm passionate about it. I love it.
Yeah.
Considering the fact that when you're trying to learn jujitsu or you're trying to learn MMA, there are so many misconceptions. There are so many um, negative connotations about the sport. Na not everyone is willing to understand what you're going. Kaya, I mean, growing up and I was training, literally go home. I was probably dead. Pero
Yeah.
yun din, kami ng mga teammates ko, I was like, ba't ba natin to ginagawa? Di ba? Why are we doing this? Di ba?
Yeah.
Why are we
Yeah.
subjecting ourselves to this pain, this amount of effort, this level of exhaustion, only to find ourselves back on the same gym the following night?
Yeah.
Kasi it makes sense eh. It made sense to us. It made
Yeah.
sense to us. We all know that there's a payoff someday, and we're going to benefit from this. It's just that he, the answer hasn't presented itself now. Pero right then, alam mo yun, there's a feeling eh. There's a feeling na what you're doing feels right. I think that's
Right.
probably the best answer for me. When you know that it feels right, it doesn't have to make sense, but as long as it feels right, then you go do it.
Nice, nice. That's a great lesson, ano? And a great
Mm.
reminder to our listeners that, sometimes you don't have to overthink. If it feels right, then, have the courage. And I think that's one thing great about you. You have the courage to actually go for it and do it, despite all
Mm.
the, and there's a
Oh,
lot of
as in I remember, I apparently I had this reputation in the office that I was partying every day. Because
they only
I would,
knew.
di ba?
That's
Kasi I
funny.
would go to the office, I'd be wearing shades, I'd be walking groggy, tapos
Wow.
I don't really mingle with people in the office bibo. So I was like, if I'm done with work, I will rest. I'll
Right.
probably sit in my chair. If I need to talk to people, I'll just talk to the people in my department. So I'm close with the people in my department. Pero when it comes to office functions, yung mga small
Jalan.
gatherings, I'm
Yeah.
like, nah. And
Right.
then so everyone had this inkling na I'm this party boy that goes to the office then parties whole night kasi I look like the sleepy guy in the office during the day. So apparently may ganun pala, and then everything changed when people found out na
Yeah.
I was doing jiu-jitsu. I was and that's all because of that Kiko and Baron Geisler fight na HR pa
Yeah.
ako.
Oh, wow.
Oh my
So,
gosh!
we
Alam
can,
ko
Oh,
yan!
yeah,
Storyang
na
yan!
yeah. Can we talk a
na-HR
little
ako
bit?
doon kasi
Yeah,
they
yeah.
saw the trailer kasi it was so viral. The damn thing was so viral.
It
Right.
was.
It was a
Yeah.
national phenomena. Everybody
Remember Kiko
wanted to.
Matos, right?
Yeah, Kiko Matos and Baron Geisler.
And
So they
Baron
Yeah.
'di ba
Geisler,
they fought.
yeah.
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 So they had this beef. It was the nationwide beef, and everyone wanted a part of it. Everyone wanted to watch it. Then the trailer came for the event. That's when everything blew up, kind of blew up, because people saw that I was apparently an MMA referee, that I was associated with so and so team, with so and so people.
Wow.
As in, all of a sudden, hindi naman sobrang drastic yung change, but yun nga, I had to explain myself sa HR. They suddenly had this urge to look into,
Your
they
background.
suddenly, my background, nag-Google search sila, nag-Facebook search sila. Apparently, you're this guy who works in our company, but you
Yeah.
were competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments here and abroad. You fought in boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, kickboxing.
Brilliant.
You're
Right.
who are you? Parang
Yeah.
Parang you
And
were there all along, hindi ka
and
nila kilala.
winning. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
oh.
And winnings
And
indeed.
winning. So
Winning.
Wow!
I
Winning.
was like, and
Yeah.
then I was like, I didn't feel the need to tell you. It's like,
Yeah,
why
that's
would I
true.
tell you? Kasi
Exactly.
sabi nga nila, parang, syempre, as a company, they'd be like, they would be, kasi apparently, syempre, it was an international company and they had branches all over the place. And
Right.
apparently, the Brazil office was, kasi Brazil had Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, they were really, parang pinagyayabang nila na we have people in this office who are so and so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys. And you're like, okay. Parang syempre siguro naisip nila sikat ngayon yung mga pwede pagyabang ng mga bossing yung mga
Right.
tauhan nila, di ba? I was
Right.
like,
Right. That
So
they're not
ipapagyabang
just
ka na rin nila.
oh,
workers. They have a
and
life.
then
Actually.
and then all of a sudden people started becoming friendly with me. Then go like, uh,
Yeah.
Idol?
na,
Wala idol
para
pa
ano
siya.
pa, ano rin naman sabi ko, guys, una sa lahat, hindi ko kayo ipapasok dun sa venue, okay? Everybody wanted to be in that venue, okay?
Wow.
There was a line from Valkyrie all the way to High Street. Then you think na like the who's who of Metro Manila wanted to
Yeah.
be there. I was like, everyone wanted an access. So sabi ko, hindi, I mean, I'm not your ticket. Sabi ko, I'm not your ticket. Pero yun nga,
Yeah.
syempre, especially when people found out about my affiliation, and I'm a member of DefTac Philippines. So DefTac means
Yeah.
Defense and Tactics Center Philippines, and it's headed by Alvin Aguilar. So
Yeah.
syempre, people knew stories about DefTac. They knew certain, it has a certain infamous reputation in the Philippine martial arts scene, plus the street violence that partnered the martial arts history of the Philippines. And
Yeah.
then they go like, then name dropping started, and I go like, yo, bro, like,
Yeah.
I'm here to work, okay?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
kasi alam mo
Yeah.
yung feeling na you go to the office and you go like, bro, kilala mo pala si ano, kaibigan ko yun eh. So syempre ako naman, I don't care.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Classic.
Yeah.
why would I care? Parang, do you think na may street cred ka ngayon sa akin kasi you know this guy? So,
Yeah.
there's that banter. There's that banter. This is something that I also share with my teammates or my students na uh, when you're training martial arts, or for example, you're doing MMA or jiu-jitsu, uh, you are doing something that not everyone, you're doing something that everyone is dreaming of doing. Like, especially for the guys. Sabi ko, everyone out there, most guys out there, they would say they can fight.
Yeah.
But when you bring them inside an actual fight, they're gonna run.
Right.
Sabi ko, you guys are doing
Yeah.
it here every day. That
Yeah.
makes you special. That
Yeah.
makes you a different breed of human being.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at least it gives them, at least it's one of my ways of putting things into perspective
Yeah.
for, kasi when I was like, in relation to what your question was, you wanted a reason for doing certain things. If I could provide them with some level of clarity, it would at least help them it would encourage them to continue with their journey, 'di ba? Kasi
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when I was in that spot, I was looking for answers as well. It just so happens that my conviction was higher. So if there are people who need a little bit more encouragement or they need that extra push to continue this journey, if it needs to come from me, then I'll tell them.
Yeah, yeah. For those people who have limited experience with BJJ and MMA, there and you already sort of hinted to it earlier about some negative misconceptions about the
Mm.
sport. What would you tell those people?
Um, the thing about martial arts kasi is a lot of the reasons why there are negative misconceptions about martial arts in general is because of what we see in media. A lot of the things that we see on media are the moves, the techniques, the violence that coincides with the martial art, 'di ba? Because it's the thing that sells, eh. 'Di ba? It's what
Yes.
puts people's attentions on screens.
Right.
But if you dig deeper, if you dive into the details of what you actually learn in martial arts,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually a guideline on how you could live your life.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
that's the perfect. I mean, I'm not going to isolate, or I'm not hindi special mention si jiu-jitsu, hindi special mention si MMA. I mean, I've trained and studied several martial arts, and most, if not all of them, are going to teach you the same thing based on concepts and principles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially we live in an era wherein people are looking for purpose, people are looking for structure,
Mm-hmm.
people are looking
So
for
true.
for for a means to be accountable. They need guidance. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for mentorship. I mean, let's face it, there are so many mindset coaches out there. There are
Yeah.
so many, 'di ba? I mean, if may proliferation ng ganong klaseng lessons because there's a demand for it. Now, why is there a demand for it? Because people are looking for a specific level of instruction from people who either did it or who have more knowledge than they do. So, I mean, yung nangyayari ngayon, like the market, like nagugulat ako, people are like, okay, you have to learn so and so principles from another guy. I mean, you just enroll in the gym. You can learn it from a coach. Like,
Right.
Right.
you can learn
Right.
it from martial arts, di ba? So when I get this question a lot from parents, like, what will my kid learn from martial arts?
Yeah.
They're looking for specific things kasi. That's why when I tell them, your kid will be disciplined, he will have structure, he will have a foundational guideline on how he should live his life and how he should act and behave with regards to other people around him. Tapos the other physical stuff, these are byproducts of the training. These are benefits of the training. Kasi how can you defend yourself if you're not aware? How can you learn if you don't have the discipline to do it? If you don't have the consistency to attend class? How will you be able to do all the or perform all the techniques if you are not present?
Right.
Ganun siya. So a lot of
And the discipline, ano, because di
oh
ba,
the this
you know, just to be able to master a certain hold or a certain technique,
mm, works
paulit-ulit
in
yun, di ba? It's again and again and again.
mm, and everything, like,
Yeah.
now this is where I will narrow down to jujitsu. A lot of the things that you learn in jujitsu, you can actually apply in your daily life kasi
Nice.
it's problem
Yeah.
solving, eh.
Yeah.
A very cliche-ish pero very apt na description of jujitsu is it's human chess. It's
Oh,
human
human
chess.
chess.
So
Nice.
it's human chess because you are going up against someone. Kasi how do I okay. Ito yung ano ko dyan, eh. You both know what to do. You both know what each other is capable of doing. So you more or less know how to stop each other. Pero the modality, the methodology, how you're going to outwit that person, how are you going to out hustle that person, how you will outsmart that person, that's the chess part. Kasi it's a complete mind game, eh, on itself. So
And you have to be very
yun, more or
strategic.
less yun ang
Yeah.
ano ko, yun ang pinaka distinction ko when it comes to narrowing down to Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's high level problem solving.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, hearing this right now, and Jose was also asking about some of the negative misconceptions, and you've clarified, how really people, whether they're young or even, but anybody can, join
Mm.
these
Yeah.
classes, no matter
Yeah.
what age you are, right?
Yeah.
So, um, and I think you already said some of this, but what are some of the biggest lessons in MMA and BJJ that you think can also be applied to life in general? Which you mentioned earlier that parents ask the kids, right?
A
Ask you,
lot. A
what will the
lot.
kids learn, right? So
Mm.
it's aside from, self-discipline, problem solving, I guess having also a lot of inner, their inner talk becomes stronger
Yeah.
because of the way that you also empower them through, the gradual levels that they're able to reach, right? So like per belt that they,
Mm.
start getting, right, they move up, and there's that sense of accomplishment. And
Mm.
so, for they're young ones, but they're also adults who just jump into this, male and female, and no matter what gender, uh, it's very inclusive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, for the kids, it's the discipline, the consistency. I think a huge part is the discipline and consistency.
Uh-huh.
It builds them a solid foundation, and then it's it shows them, it gives them a glimpse of real life.
Real life.
Kumbaga,
Right.
'di ba? Na parang if you do something, there's a reward. If you do something, there's a level of accomplishment. If you perform specific tasks over and over again, you will reap the rewards through sparring, through promotions. Now, when it comes to adults, a huge chunk of training something for adults is the ability to tell that person that you can be something more than what you already are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Diba? It's telling them that
Mhm.
you could be more.
Yeah.
Yung Saulo Hibero is the head of Hibero International.
Hmm.
He's also a judge. He's a multiple world champion, but he's also a judge.
Yeah. Wow.
And
Yeah.
then when I asked him, I go like, "What brought you to this path?" Then he said, "Well, if you're gonna be a doctor, a lawyer, and so in 10 years, why not also be a black belt in jiu-jitsu?"
Wow.
I think it's a very very simple statement, but it sparked an idea in my head now. Why is this all there is to my life? Diba? If I'm going to be a corporate guy, if I'm going to do my job, might as well do something else. Diba? I can't be the guy na where human beings are very complex creatures eh. We're very complex. We're capable of so many things. So why not do something else that would help you express yourself? So for adults, that's it. Looking into your potential, a huge uh, benefit would be ego management, an outlet for emotional aggression.
Hmm.
Kasi we are so limited with the level of expressions that we can do. You post something on Facebook, someone disagrees, it's added stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
Oh.
you you go to work, you have to work within a structure of hierarchy. Na you can't just go up to your boss and tell him he's a douchebag, di ba?
Yeah.
So all these
Yeah.
things,
You can.
di ba?
Yeah.
'Di ba, there are so
Indeed.
many, we live in an era, or we live at a time where, and there are so much pent up emotions. There are so many things we want to express, but we can't find the words, or the words can't come out.
Ito.
Yeah.
That's where hobbies come into play. 'Di ba?
Right.
Yeah.
It could be music, it could be dancing, it could be hiking, it could be, yeah. For us, it's martial arts and fighting. It's being able to let our emotions out, let our bodies express what we can't say through movement. Diba? That's why you see people that are getting into hobbies, diba? They're you that's the very, like, I think that's the bloodline of this show, diba? It's honing your passion and making sure
Yeah.
that you don't lose it.
Right.
Because
That's true.
if you diba, if you lose it, then everything becomes blurry. Parang okay, you start questioning. I think when things get blurry, that's when you start questioning. You question your existence. You question your purpose. You question the things that are happening with your everyday life. Simply because you're trying to look for answers when the answers are not yet there. So
That's
yun eh. So I think a huge chunk of, and a lot of the reasons why people practice hobbies or get into martial arts, it's because yun, they want to let off steam, but at the same time they feel na, I think this is just for the Brazilian jiu-jitsu students that I have, my teammates, na parang whenever I ask them, why are you doing this? Yeah, during drinking sessions and
Yeah.
eating yung mga kainan, they go like,
Right, yeah. Those were
sabi
the
nila,
days, This is
yeah, and and
pre-pandemic.
When we could still
oh,
go out
pre-pandemic,
and
yeah,
Yeah.
hang out,
pre-COVID.
eat and drink
Yeah,
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're a very close knit community.
Yeah.
So like random questions, like oh, like I asked them because I would have like I have a blue belt. I have a teammate, a blue belt. She's like 43, 44,
Wow. Very inspiring.
and then I go like what? Kasi she's a dragon boat athlete. As in she competes locally and abroad, and I go and then
Wow.
she parang duathlete pa ata or triathlete. Sabi ko, what brought you to jiu-jitsu? Then she said, well, I cannot put it into words. I don't know how to explain it. Pero there's a I found myself here. I
Amazing.
don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Pero
It
sabi lang,
makes
It
I
makes
found
total
a lot
sense.
of sense.
Yeah.
I found myself here, and every time I'm here, this is this is a predominant question, and for me that's enough. Everyone keeps saying, whenever I do this, I go home happy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's a
when
great
I
message.
hear that, I did my job.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's a great test too, no?
Yeah.
And happy hormones are released, I'm sure,
Yeah.
with all that
Yeah.
activity. Plus, it's
Siyempre.
very therapeutic,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people need to
Uh,
ground themselves
Uy,
to,
may magjo-jujutsu na dito,
Actually, matagal na akong
Eh,
talagang
magta-try na,
I've been
magta-try
wanting to
na.
try it,
ako din,
kasi
mag-try din
Uh,
nag-try
ako.
ako dun
it's
Yeah.
I think there were like I've read this 2020 study wherein they compared people who are yung mga they do high level meditation, like really like
Yeah.
nagme-meditate sila for a very long time, and then
Yeah.
they compare the brain waves of that person with the person who's doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Halos pareho raw siya.
Wow.
Nice.
So
I
you
love that.
because and that's true. In jiu-jitsu we call it reaching the flow state. Kasi when
Okay.
you reach
Ah,
the flow
Wow.
state,
Yeah.
and I think I write this a lot about when I post on my social media na when you're there, nothing else matters. When I'm in the gym, I you're not CEO of this company, you're not the employee of so and so company, you're not the business owner of this brand. You're there as your name. You carry
Yeah.
your name with you.
Yeah.
And when you don't have to worry who you are, you can just be yourself. And when you are yourself, it brings you this level of inner peace. Ganun daw eh. It's a lot of them say that. And I thought na before it was just me, but apparently a lot of people who've been doing jiu-jitsu for a very long time they've been feeling that way pala.
Yeah. And I can feel it, no? I don't know if Cindy, you feel it too. Like when we're talking to you now, I could
Mm.
I
feel
feel that.
the sort of
Yeah.
you being an anchored person, like
Yeah. I see
Mm.
you're
I feel the
grounded.
alignment. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
that
feel
you're
like it's so
grounded.
aligned.
And there's,
And you're
yeah,
so like
yeah,
in the flow. But I love when you said that, because
yeah.
a lot of us, it's a clue. You've been giving clues since we started the podcast. I observed that you were giving people clues about how to know if this is for them, or
Mm.
just tuning in. And I think their inner voice becomes really, really strong when you say things like, no, I just ended up here, like that one of your jiu-jitsu practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
Or earlier when you were like, yeah, I felt this way, and so I just went for it. And that inner voice is critical. That's our why, or that's very powerful. It's like what Jose and I always talk about, having higher selves. And when you were mentioning flow, and how it, like, I'm a person who also can meditate for a long time,
Mm.
and I also work out and I do CrossFit. Jose was the
Mm-hmm.
one who got me into it. And both actually are so beneficial for me. They ground me and they give me so much strength. And
Yeah,
when I heard, and flow is also like you're living in the mid, like you're supposed to be doing this when you're
Yeah.
flowing, right? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is what I'm meant to do. And that alignment with that higher self, it's like, boom, that's powerful. That's like spiritual for
Yeah,
me. That's
the beauty
spiritual.
of the internet talaga,
Yeah.
and the openness of people when it comes to sharing ideas. Kasi like now, like we were discussing before we went on air with this, na people are now talking about energies and alignment
Right.
and being with the
Yes.
self,
That's
living in the
true.
Yeah.
moment, living in the
Yeah,
present.
yeah.
I was like, okay, yung pala yun. Sabi ko kasi we've been doing it for like 15 years. So I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we've been doing it, we've been living it for more than 20
Yeah.
years. And then I remember, one of the things that stuck in the conversation when I had Jose on my podcast was like when he just said, "Ikaw, did you really think that you were doing this 10 years prior to what to when you started?" And I go like, "What the hell? Oh nga no." Parang kasi the topic was futures thinking. They said
Yeah.
you would
Right.
think you have to have like this three states wherein what are the possible things that would happen, what are the other scenarios that could
Right.
happen. He had an academic structure for it wherein I was actually living it during that time, or I had lived it during that time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this motherfucker's good. Sabi ko, this guy's good. Sabi ko,
Thank you. I feel
sabi ko,
He
what the
really
heck?
is.
worth it.
But
Yeah. I did my job.
And then afterwards, I message Ika and like, what the fuck? Sabi ko, did you tell this guy? Sabi ko, this guy practically broke down like he narrowed down everything, put it into structure. Sabi ko, so if we're talking
Thank
about
you.
device like sharing information, it's like everything would align. Sorry, nagmura ako ah.
No, no, it's okay. Ay, ano
Uh,
naman eh, yung podcast na to explicit.
It's
Ayun,
explicit.
okay, okay. I'm sorry. Na ano, na carry on na ako.
No,
Eh.
no,
It's
it's
like
good. It's
so
good.
it's like okay, it's if we're talking, everyone now is more conscious about their alignment and the energies. I think it's more important that we are more conscious now about the energies that we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if
Now
you're
more than ever.
diba? And one thing that there's this guy, his name is Jocko Willink. He
Mhm.
said when he was guesting in a podcast, he said, if there's one thing that this pandemic is showing people, it's either you're gonna fall in love with your wife again or you're gonna hate your wife or husband. Diba? Kasi you're gonna
That's
realize
so
that
true. Or both.
or
Or
both,
both.
diba? Kasi we're ano
I
eh,
like
parang
that.
if there's one, I mean, we're living in strange times, that there's so many tragic things that's happening, but
Right.
if you look on the flip side, a benefit would be you suddenly realize, okay, these are the things that matter to me pala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diba? It puts a lot of the things that you know into perspective and make you realize that, okay, I could live off if I didn't go so and so here, if I didn't buy so and so there.
Yeah.
Diba? As long as I have my health, as long as I have my family, as long as I have the people that I love and they're safe and healthy, I mean, it put things into a simpler perspective. Parang
Yeah.
it simplified the way we're living. So,
Yeah.
ayun, I mean, a lot of it, a lot of that comes with the energies and the alignment.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
For
And
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
and to think we were just talking about one of your passions, which is
Mm-hmm.
martial
Exactly.
arts, right?
Mm.
Now let's talk. Let's branch out a little bit and talk about your other passions. If you're pursuing other passions, as what we part of our introduction to you. You're a food and
Mm.
travel writer. You're a content creator.
Mm-hmm.
You're also a marketing executive.
Mm.
I mean, do you still sleep? I mean, how do you balance?
Yeah.
How do
Para,
you balance all
ano,
of it?
uh,
And,
Or are you a vampire? That's why you wear those shades in
I think
between.
there's a part of
And
me that's a
yeah,
vampire. I mean, admittedly, I tell people please do not follow my sleeping patterns because it's crazy. I have to control it as well. The travel writing part came when I had the break that I got was because of Lucky Alabado and Walter C. They're the dynamic duo of Discover MNL. So
okay,
I've been, I mean, one beautiful thing about doing the things that I'm doing is I get to travel. So it's either I mostly travel for competitions. So I either compete abroad, compete locally. Tapos if I do self-defense seminars or I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or MMA seminars in provinces, it gave me an opportunity to meet different people. The location. Tapos, yun din, I love going out. I'm a very outdoorsy person. So,
yeah,
the level of appreciation that I have. And then, syempre, you document everything on social media kasi Either it's on social media or it didn't happen. So
True. Yeah.
dahil don, I I started practicing everything that I'm writing. Dati kasi nahihiya ako. I was ghostwriting for my friends before. Tapos I was really afraid. I was hindi ko rin alam kung bakit. I didn't know why, but again, my fiance was like, she saw a file in my laptop saying, "Sino nagsulat nito?" And I go like, "Me. Ba't hindi ka ganito magsulat on your social media?" And I go like, kasi iniisip ko na
Yeah.
they probably think it's off character because I'm the martial arts guy. I
Right.
should only be
Right.
posting about martial arts stuff and being
Right.
badass and being violent and being,
Correct. Correct.
ano, di ba?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then sabi niya, why don't you try it out? Then I started with food, then I started with travel, then little did I know, people were noticing na parang, uy, hinihintay nga namin yung mga food posts mo kasi napaka-poetic ng ano,
Cool.
sabi,
Yeah. Yeah.
nakakapikon, nakakapikon. I was like, okay, people are reading my shit pala. Sabi ko, so, and then I just kept doing it because it was a way for me to express myself as well. Little did I know na there was an opportunity, there was a spot for Discover MNL's team for a travel writer. And then someone tagged me. Then I go like, okay. Then they reached out. Lucky reached out and said, I know, what else have you tried writing? I go like, everything's on my social media. So I send them this. And I go like, as in, ang bilis. Like the following day, pwede ka bang pumuntang Bacolod? So and so. And I go like, okay.
Wow. Ganun ka agad.
Okay, yeah.
Took uh they took a chance with me. So and they're really amazing individuals. I mean, their work ethic is just extraordinary. It it opened me to another industry of content creation wherein it's very crafty, it's very
Right.
artistic.
Right. I love their
You
website. It looks really
Oh, tsaka the
nakakabutong.
videos
Yeah.
they parang
Yeah.
and it's very efficient. As in location, it's like people kasi they think na travel documentation is parang punta ka lang dyan, tapos mag-video. Hindi, sila, it's very methodical. They already know what to do. Punta tayo dito. Click, 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 click. Ang
Right.
bilis.
Right.
Nice.
Then I go like, did you get what you need? Yeah. So they wanted,
Brilliant.
I really learned efficiency when it comes to that team. Kasi they wanted to be the people who document the moments in that spot, but at the same time, they also wanted to enjoy being there. That's what I learned from them. Na
Yeah.
parang if you
Yeah.
want to get things done, get them done right away.
Right
So that
away.
diba, you get it out of the way, then let's enjoy this place.
Nice, no?
Ganon.
That's a good, ano? That's a good approach, no?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
ano, I
something that I
apply
love
that.
doing.
Yeah, I apply that to everything that I'm doing right now. Na parang if I have to do this, diba, people will say, I have 2 hours. Gawin ko na mamaya. Ngayon, nag-shift siya. For me, okay, let me get this done so that I have 2 hours to spare later.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Diba?
And
Kasi if you look at it in a way where there's a deadline, you're going to beat the deadline. Whereas if you get rid of the deadline, you'll realize you apparently have more free time.
yeah,
So,
and
medyo yun yung ginagawa ko. So, I went there. Then, wala, it started. Then, it kind of gave me the confidence I needed in order to just keep writing and writing and writing and writing. Tamad ako mag-write before. I only write when I feel like it. Pero at least now, I'm confident na if I put this out, more or less people will gravitate towards it. And that's, I mean, the application would be on all my social media posts na as much as possible when people do like, this is awesome. Ako, I'll go long form writing. So, ginawa ko na lang siyang parang micro blog. Like all of my social media posts are like micro blogs. It was just an outlet for me to express myself. Everything that I'm doing practically is an outlet for me to express myself, and hopefully whoever needs to hear it or read it and it helps them, it's good. Nakakagulat lang is I would receive messages of from random people saying na they're training so and so, it's difficult pero when they read my post daw nakaka-encourage that apparently I'm helping a lot of people, I'm motivating them
Yeah.
daw. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I mean,
beautiful,
these
Frank.
are ano,
Yeah.
it's I never, I'm the guy who doesn't I don't like attention. I don't like it when people say, ito like people say you're an influencer. I go like, fuck you. Ganun kagad. As in, para masira kagad yung, yung
Correct.
image. Kasi
Yeah,
all of a
yeah.
sudden, if you're like, okay, that's why, di ba kanina I told you when parents tell me, my son idolizes you. I go to the son or the daughter, I tell them, no.
Yeah.
Like, no, don't do that. Sabi ko,
Kasi baka
It's
reverse
a lot of
psychology
pressure.
yun.
diba?
Oh
Sabi ko,
The
yeah.
no.
more
Sabi ko,
they,
don't.
the
Sabi
more
ko,
you
hindi.
say it, oh
Tsaka
no.
I tell them na parang, you already have two of the best idols in the world. That's your mom and that's your dad. You go follow them, not me. Sabi ko, you shouldn't be, I mean, kasi ito yun eh. The problem is, especially with Philippine society, when people idolize celebrities, influencers, whatever you want to call them, they will patronize the good and the bad. I always tell people, it's like it's some sort of a Tupac quote na parang, di ba, idolize or follow the things that I do good. Di ba? If I do something shitty, if I do something bad, and I will do it one of these days, di ba? Don't try to justify it or don't try to, di ba, just di ba, follow the good that I do. Pero, di ba, I'm no idol. Like, no, I'm far from it. I'm human. I'm gonna fuck up one of these days, di ba? So at least it's a good way for me ren to keep myself in check and remind people na I am sharing what I know. These are the things that I learned through the years. Now, if it's beneficial for you, use it. But don't make me the model of how you want to live your life because I'm not perfect. We're all in the same boat. So because we're all living the same life. So I want you to live your own life. I want you to have your own rules. I think yung isa sa mga naging like nagulat na lang ako kumalat yung post ko na yon. I go like I always tell this to my teammates and my students. I go like when they tell me, "Coach, I want to be like you." Sabi ko, "No, I'm gonna make you better than me. That's the goal." Sabi ko, "That's the intention." Sabi ko, if you're better than me, what are you gonna teach the next guy? 'Di ba?
Yeah.
There has to be progression. You have to be better. Diba? You have to continue the cycle. How do you do that? You become better. But don't be like me. Diba? Yun.
Galing.
Those are
Galing.
the things
Loving
that
all
I
of
do.
this.
Spoken like a true teacher too. No?
Yeah,
Uh,
right. I mean, this really, I'm sure our listeners are so, like they're all of these stories you've shared, all of the tips that you've given. Truly, Franco, you're living an authentic and well-designed life,
I
and whether
I
you're
I
aware of
am
it or not, right?
inspired.
Yeah.
Inspired
I
ako
mean,
ulit
ako rin eh.
with
It's like
with
no
okay, what
labels
do I want to
talaga.
do now? Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. And
Inspired.
and ang tanong ko is, we in LifeCraft we adhere to that. We want people to really discover themselves, and see what else can they do, what other passions they have, what other life scenarios can they live,
mhm.
in this present life. So our question is, what advice those our listeners, our life crafters who want to do more than their day job, they want to pursue more passions, or something's just sparked within them after hearing you,
Mm.
today, like us, like Jose and I, so what is
Um,
that, what advice can you give them, or some tips that you could give them?
uh, for something like that, ano lang talaga ako eh. This is just how I processed my thoughts and my feelings. I just asked myself, why? Why aren't you doing it? Diba?
Mm.
Why aren't you doing it? Diba? Why not do it? What's stopping you? And through this journey, I didn't discover this. I mean, I have a lot of failures. I've done so many stupid things in my life. I just realized now there are mainly two things why people are very hesitant to do the things that they're doing. Number one, it's fear of failure. And then number two is fear of judgment. More often than not, yung fear of judgment is the main reason why people are not doing the things that they want to do.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that if they do it, they are very scared of how people will see them. Like for example, you're a chef, pero you want to be a rock star or you want to be a guitarist in a band.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
You've been compartmentalized by society as the chef or the corporate guy or the sales guy. Diba? So if
Right.
you do something different or you do something
Yeah.
that is out of the stereotype of the association with your name, diba? Especially with people who are insecure about themselves as well, the first thing they will do is criticize other people to mask their insecurities. So for me, I'm the corporate guy. I'm the guy who works for a company that wears a coat and tie. Why can I not be the guy who also wears a jiu-jitsu kimono and goes inside the cage and beats up other people? Diba? And
Yes.
the same way that I have developed this reputation of the martial arts guy, the fighting guy. Why can't I be the person who can also write about beautiful destinations and good food?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. True.
and and then since I have that, diba? So since I have that reputation to people, or when people see my social media, all they see are these things that I allow them to see on social media. Why can't I be the guy who has conversations with intellectual people? Like my podcast as well. It started off everyone thought na I'd be talking to just fighters and coaches, but I had the Jose de Colongon on my podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I
yeah. Parang
had
I was really surprised when you
Diba?
asked.
I had a
Oh,
Mel Santa Maria, diba?
yeah.
I had a Mel Santa Maria. I had, of course, there would be people na there would be people, of course, within my community, and that's one of the main reasons why I did the podcast, is because I want to promote the community and the art itself. Pero at the same time, I also realized that I'm a very curious person, and I'm very interested with how other people's minds work. So if I can learn from them and I can share that learning with other people, why not? Diba? It evolved to a point wherein I was already discussing the anti-terrorism bill. The recent episode, I interviewed and had a conversation with a ex-NPA cadre who is part of the Senate hearings right now. So I was
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
diba? So I was like, okay. So and I think and I believe that what I am doing right now is not extraordinary. It's just I just did it. I just stopped thinking what other people would think. Because if I worry about that, then I would be confined on what is acceptable for other people. Once you
Yeah.
realize na you don't have to please everybody, you cannot. You will not please everybody. That also means you cannot be confined in the box that society tells you. You can be whoever the fuck you want to be. It's that simple. When I realized that, I go like, oh nga no. If I wanted to try this, and again, this is something that this whole situation is teaching us. Na everyone's working from home. We have a ton of time in our hands. If there's a threat to the value of life, are you still gonna wait for the dying moments in your life before you realize na okay, I
True.
wish I had done that? Parang ako,
True. Yeah.
I want to
So
avoid the
yeah.
what if, 'di ba? I want to avoid the what ifs in life. Kasi uh, if you failed, so what? 'Di ba? You're gonna wake up the following day knowing na, yeah, I kind of suck here. So it's either I get better at it or I'll try something else. 'Di ba? Malay mo, ano rin yan eh. Ano ba yung mga nauuso ngayon? People are looking for purpose. I go like, why don't you start putting purpose on your everyday living?
Right.
'Di ba?
Right. Right. It
It's all
doesn't have to
about.
be complicated, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated,
Yeah.
'di ba? If you think about, 'di ba, people, I don't know the meaning of life. I don't know the purpose of my existence. Then if you don't know like everyone else, why don't you just find purpose in everything that you're doing? 'Di ba? Be a good person, help someone else, make
Yeah.
yourself better. But don't be an asswipe, 'di ba? Don't be a troll, 'di ba? I think that
Yeah.
would be a good start. So,
Indeed.
ayun.
And Franco, so much wisdom today coming from you, and real talk. This is what I call real talk,
I love
right,
it. I
Oh
Jose?
love
yeah, I
it. And
think
for me, like
real talk lang
uh,
talaga.
our
Oh.
episode should be like this, right? This is
yeah,
for
it's
me
like
a really great episode and
Mhm.
conversation.
yeah, and Franco, I'm sure our audience, they want to reach out to you. So
Mm.
if there are any ones out there listening who want to connect with you, how can they reach you? Where can they find you?
Uh, my social media handles are just my name. So just go search Coach Franco Rulloda or Franco Rulloda. I want to make it as simple as possible. So if you find anything interesting there, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I have a YouTube channel that's more of the long form stuff. And LifeCraft, Jose, Cindy, thank you so much for having me here. This is really good. Even I learned something about myself today. So
Thank you.
I was like, what
Thank
the
you so much.
hell? Yes, it's really good,
Love
really
Love
it.
it.
good.
Love it.
Everyone who's gonna listen to this, you better put this on your favorite list. Okay, you have to, diba? Instead of you go listen to mumble rap every once in a while, pero you listen to this channel, you listen to this show, diba? Put something good in your brain. So
Yeah. They should follow your podcast too.
yeah, my
Yeah.
podcast is Coach
Indeed.
Franco Says. It's
Yes.
also here on Spotify, all other major podcasting platforms. The video is on YouTube. So, ayun, it's I hope that other people just learn from the episodes. It's it, yun lang.
Thank you so
Definitely.
much, Franco. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, living a no labels lifestyle and just embodying all that you
Mm.
are.
Yeah.
You're
Mm.
being fully Franco.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Kaya ka nagiging idol ng mga kids eh. I don't blame you.
Because I
Again,
mean,
wag nyo ako
You're my
idolin!
you're
Nako!
my idol now.
Hindi na ako pwede
Galaw ng
magloko!
Franco.
Hindi na ako pwede maggago!
No, well, only follow the good.
Oh, only follow the good, okay? Only follow the good,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. So to everyone who's listening, if they wanna also ask questions, if you have some great feedback as well, anything you want to share with us, you may email us at mylifecraft.org@gmail.com. You can also follow us on IG at mylifecraft, and please like our Facebook page, My Lifecraft. So with that, we want to say thank you, Franco, again once more for a brilliant episode.
Thank you so much for
Jose,
having me here.
thank
Awesome!
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Awesome.
Awesome indeed.
Mhm.
Jose, anything for our listeners before we say goodbye?
No, we're good. I mean,
Mm.
thank you. Thank you so much again, Coach Franco.
Yeah.
And we're going to attend, hopefully, once everything is over, we can attend your class. But
Mm.
don't beat us up.
I'm game. I want to wear that
No, no,
kimono.
no, no. Hindi naman. No, it's not ano. It's not. Hindi siya ano. It's not very violent. It's not violent. It's not as violent as you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's fun actually.
Very fun. Very
Yeah, it's a
much.
lot of fun. Tried it. Thank you so much, Jose, Franco, and to our listeners. Um, thank you for listening. See you on our next episode. Goodbye. Thank you.